But years ago, you showed me an article, and what they did was I'll give you the basic gist of the article.
Yeah, yeah, give
They
me
gave
this.
100 people, they were doing a market survey, and what they were doing is, and they're going to open up a hamburger joint. All right. So they said to the 100 people, we're going to open up this hamburger joint, and here's the meat we're going to serve, the burger we're going to serve, and we want you to taste it and tell us if it's going to be successful. All right. This
Hmm.
for burger is 20% fat. All right.
Hmm.
Now, the people ate the hamburger and everything, and they wrote about what they thought. And I believe it was like 80% of the people said it wasn't good.
It sucks.
Wasn't good. It sucks. Wasn't good. Right. Then they brought another 100 people in the room and they gave them the hamburger. And they said the same thing, want to open up a burger joint, want you to taste this. But this is 80% lean.
Oh, wow, that's the good stuff.
Right. Now, right. So when people, it was the same burger, but
Uh,
right, but 80% of people now said it was going to be good. All right.
isn't that crazy?
Now, this was done back when fat was bad. Now we know, hey, fat's good, right? But
Yeah,
back
yeah.
then, everything was low fat, right? Everything fat was there. But back then,
Fat
you
was
ate,
considered fat was considered a waste in a way. It's like
right.
I just got fat. That's worthless fat, although it is
Right,
good for
right, right. And none of
you know.
that
But
fat was like gonna, you're gonna get die of a heart attack if you had a hamburger
right,
instantly,
right.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. But
100% lose
nowadays,
fat, not get more.
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
want.
Now fat was like sugar is now. You know what I mean?
I don't
So,
want to
as
buy. I
far as
don't want to
back
buy it.
then.
I got too much right here. Why are we going to buy fat?
But the point was, they changed one word.
Hmm.
They went from fat to lean, and it made a totally different result.
Please welcome America's service sales coach, Joe Crisara.
Welcome to the Service MVP Podcast, the show that helps home service professionals master high-value sales, build stronger client relationships, and grow their business like never before. Join industry experts as they share real strategies that drive results. If you're ready to level up your service game, you're in the right place. Let's get started.
It's the Service MVP Podcast.
Thank you for listening and watching the Service MVP podcast. I want to give you a copy of my free book. Just click on the link below in the description and one will be sent to you from me personally. Thank you so much for listening. Welcome to the Service MVP podcast. My name is Joe Crisara, America's service sales coach, and we have with me a longtime friend and one of God's great men, Rick Picard from Rodenhiser Services in Massachusetts. Rick, welcome to our show again. Nice to see you again.
Oh, it's Joe. It's thank you for inviting me. It's always a pleasure to talk to you about what we talk about.
Yeah, shooting it back and forth, and we always find
Right?
somebody. So today we're going to talk about how there's been a fact of life that Rick, you've noticed. Have you noticed that the costs of everything, not just heating and cooling or plumbing or electrical, but the cost of everything in the world? Are you shocked when you go to get a hamburger and find out it's $25 now? Or it's like you go
Yeah,
to
yeah,
a fast
right.
food, and it's like, holy cow, I can't believe it's
Yeah,
50
I mean,
bucks.
you'd have to be living in a cave not to see it, right? Everywhere we turn now, and I like how you said that. It's not just HVAC or the trades or electricals. Everything's become so expensive. I mean, our car insurance is like I got, I have my car insurance is doubled here in Massachusetts in
Hmm.
1 year, and not only that is one of the vehicles I have because it's worth too much. The insurance company won't cover it. It's
Mm.
too much risk. So I had to find one company to take care of that car, another company to take care of that. It's like, so all the costs are going up. And so I think what's causing people to do when the cost of everything is going up is people are really being cautious with how they spend their money and they're really looking for the best value they can get.
Mm. That's a good point there. So I think that the thing that we're going to talk about today, I really want to talk about today is, throughout the us knowing each other, one of the things that we pride ourselves on is being able to pivot. You and I have seen all different kinds of economies I think it's like 2004. I think I first met you, something like that. And
Yeah,
so we've been like, heck, we're going on our 20-year. I think we just passed our 20-year anniversary. You didn't even send me
that's
any
right.
flowers.
Yeah, I didn't get any candy either.
But we got about 20-year anniversary. But over the years, there's been different, ebbs and flows of the economy. Well, lately, it's just gone up. Not the economy, but the economy's not bad. But the
Right.
costs, the economy's doing good actually, but the costs are inflation has gone up far faster than the economy is increasing. That's one thing I would say. So tell me, what do you think on that? What's the creating value as costs go up? What are the different choices a contractor has as the costs go up? I mean, I don't want to, make it too easy to say, but there's not that many choices, really. Well, what are the different ways that
Right.
a
I guess
service contractor can pivot?
right. I would say there's two choices. Either um, create more value or lower the price.
Mm.
Right.
And
And yeah,
so what do you think what do you think the vast majority of service contractors are doing? Are they finding a way to create value? And we'll talk about how we can do that. Or
right.
is it just easier to lower the price, or is it easier to create value? What do you think is the easier thing to
Right.
do?
Well, I think actually it's easier to create value, but most people it's hot. It's they don't know how to do it, right? So if you don't know
Mhm.
what to do, how to do it, then you default to lowering the price, right? Because they feel they're in survival mode. So,
Mhm.
like they'll say you eat almost anything if you're starving, right?
Right,
So,
right, right.
yeah, so
So I
that's
would say,
what kind of,
I would say oatmeal's better than no meal, Rick. That's what I always tell
right,
people. It's
exactly. And
it's
that's what I've
better
experienced. See, I think uh someone like myself, I'm sales manager at Rodenhiser, but I'm
than
a working sales manager. And what I mean by that is I'm in front of customers every single day. Right? As a
Mhm.
sales manager, a lot of sales managers haven't talked to a customer in 20 years and they're trying to teach people how to, how to, what to do. You know what I'm
Can't
saying?
stand that. I know it bothers me. I've seen that. I just had a
No,
guy
you know what
walk.
I'm saying. But with me,
Mhm.
I'm in front of customers every day. So I have a real good, I have my fingers on the pulse of what's going on in the market. I see it a
Mhm.
lot. And so what I'm seeing a lot in the market is, a few years ago during the pandemic, a customer, I walk in the door, I'm so glad you showed up. I followed four people. You're the only one that would come,
Mhm.
right? Business was so
Mhm.
good that was happening. Now what's happening is there's two or three other companies at the house when I show up.
Mhm.
Right? Right? You know what I mean? And I have
Right, right.
customers telling me I'm getting 4, 5, 6 quotes.
Mhm.
So people are really looking for the best value. They're really watching the pennies again because it's not just because HVAC is expensive or the trees are expensive, because everything has become more expensive now. And so
So
what
one of
I
the things you
what
say, one of the things you say is that as the costs go up, so do the amount of information or quotes that people are looking for. They naturally say, well, if the cost, I got to see if there's anything that I can do to save money on this. And so you think that the amount of quotes then go up. You noticing that trend that the quotes go
absolutely it's true. And so when the quotes go up and people are getting more quotes, it's very simple for contractors to feel like they have to lower the price to compete.
up? Well, because I think the only feedback the client will give you if they don't give, so that if they get six quotes or five quotes or four quotes,
Right,
um, the feedback they're giving it's really not. I think the service provider is a victim of bad information from the consumer because when the
right,
consumer doesn't purchase from, like, say, five of the six, like only one gets the job,
right,
five don't get the job, the message they send that the people who don't get the job is that your price was too high, even though not all five prices were too high. Like, so
right,
if you get six quotes and you choose the one in the middle, let's say, or choose the second
right,
from the top or the top one,
right,
there's five people who are less money, or even if they choose the middle contractor, there's still three people who are less money, right?
right,
And
right.
so, but they tell all the contractors who didn't get the job that you were all too much money. Does
Right,
that
because they guess they're trying to be nice to you. They don't want to tell you, they don't want to tell you weren't good enough,
right? It's like
right?
you're a
They're not
crappy
going to tell you, you
salesman,
know what, you were so bad, we spent more money on somebody else. I mean,
right?
no one's going to say that. They always say, you did a good job, but just your country's just too expensive. So,
When was the time a customer said, you're just not charging enough, Rick? I can't see you doing this job the right way. You don't charge
right,
enough.
right, yeah, yeah,
So no customers. So the reason it's faulty information, you have to admit that not all the contractors who didn't get the job were too much money. And
right.
if there was somebody who was too much money, it was only too much based on what the value they were providing, not that they were too much money. But I want everybody to come to the next Total Immersion, the life-changing event where you increase your sales and your personal growth.
What should we do?
The value was high. And I think that you start to see that without the training. I think that's where value is created, right? What's the heart of creating value,
Right.
Rick? You wanna talk-
That's what I said to you. I said when I talked to you earlier that I think more than ever, training is essential because, as I mentioned, there's two choices: create more value or lower the price. So if you
Mhm.
don't have the training to know how to create more value, then you're gonna listen to that misinformation the customer tells you it's too expensive, and then it's a race to the bottom, and it's a race that no one wins.
Mhm. I agree with that. Now, with
Right.
all the information out there, there's a couple things that are traps I call for contractors. One, faulty information from the consumer saying the reason we're not getting it is always a lower price. It's never because
Right.
they tell you the truth, like you just didn't create enough value. You just
Mm.
not creating enough value. So consumer ever. The second thing is so much information out there that it's like, why do I need to get training or invest in training or I don't got time for training because they could just go on ChatGPT or with AI.
Yeah.
Why do
Yeah.
I need training and things like that? So I think that's another trap I think that they run into. Like, here's what AI says. Like that's the be all end all.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Like I never seen anything on AI that was really that helpful about sales. Honestly, it seems very watered down from what I've seen.
Yeah.
What do you
Right. Or it just doesn't have enough of broad enough information to um, be able to understand the complexities and the nuances. I went into that as a sales manager. I was looking at some numbers for one of my salespeople the other day, and I noticed his close ratio was steadily dropping. And I'm like, I said to him, so what do you think it is? What do you think why do you think it's, I don't know. It's been really competitive. And I'm like, okay, so why don't we do this? Why don't I ride with you? Come ride with me for a day or two, or I'll ride with you and we'll see what's going on. And
think?
what I had noticed was he almost totally forgot about verbal packaging,
Okay. Hmm.
right? So the mistake that he was making was he started to sound like everybody else.
Ah,
He
back in the
let
jargon. Back in the
he
jargon.
he got he let this can happen to any of us. He knows better. He's been working with me for a long time. All
Hmm.
right. But I think through the pandemic, he let some things slide because he was selling so much anyway. All right. Now that it's got back to where he's got to create more value, he started using trade jargon, started talking to BTUs, just the verbal package that he was using all the way around, started talking about not what it does, but what the trade calls it. And
Hmm.
so the customers were starting to view what he was doing the same as everybody else, just more money.
Hmm. And I think when I really, Rick, I've even learned something about verbal packaging myself as much as I felt like I'm an expert at it. But even one of the things I kind of adopted now, and this might help you even if you would take this advice,
Yeah.
is the verbal package to tell things what it does, not only what the part is. Like I'm not going to say get away from the
Yeah.
saying furnace. Like furnace is a furnace. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Right.
I'm
Right.
not,
Yeah.
I'm not trying to say hide what it call it a furnace, but
Yeah.
here's what I would say. I would say, this is a modulating, variable output gas furnace. Like you say that.
Mhm.
That's like the technical part of it.
Right.
The what does that do for you? Like the modulating will give you the precise temperature at the outdoor conditions and the indoor conditions with the right
Mhm.
humidity and temperature at the same time. It does exactly with the different algorithms that it figures out with the computer now. It dials in perfect comfort for your family as opposed to having on-off switch for the furnace like the old one did. And then
Right.
the variable speed is 24 times quieter. And then I would say that's the what that does. Then the other part, the third part, is what does it do for the people? That's the
Right.
that's the part that I've always
Ah.
done it, but I couldn't say like, here's the technical part, modulating gas furnace with variable speed. This is going to even out the temperatures, give you more comfort, and that's important. So your daughter, Amy, can have a good night's sleep in the summertime, so she can go to her sporting events and stuff like that, and feel rested and fresh. And your son Jeremy, with that asthma, won't have it. It'll be at least reduce the amount of problems he has with his health with that asthma. So that third part of it is an important part. Those are things I think are value creators. That's what I'm seeing right now. What do you think of that, Rick? The
Yeah, I know. I think that's
part
perfect. Now, for me, I don't like using words like modulating variable, right? So, because that's what everybody uses. So,
oh,
I'm
good. What is it?
using words,
Oh,
I'm using words like adaptive communicating. The system adapts to your needs. All right.
mm-hmm,
So, as it gets hotter and colder, it's going to adapt because we're trying to match the amount of energy we need to provide the highest level of comfort, efficiency, dependability that we can provide. All right. So, I'm trying to use different words that a customer understands. I think they understand adaptable and communicating the way the system communicates with each other because then I think they do even modulating variable. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to stay away from those kind of words and use words more like that are more descriptive to the customer
mm-hmm,
what they do. So it's a better service to the customer, but also differentiates for me. Because if I start talking modulating variable and somebody else
mm-hmm.
is talking modulating variable, and
Yeah,
they have
yeah.
a cheaper price, then they unfortunately can identify me with them.
So it's important to get a unique verbal packaging that's not going to be like nobody can say that's the same thing. What I would because it's I think one telling thing is if they get those 6 quotes, and here's the thing that's the kiss of death. They say, Rick, you're pretty much doing the same thing everybody else is doing, but you're just more money.
Right.
That's the kiss of death, don't you think, Rick? What do you
Right.
think?
Oh, that's exactly it. That was exactly happening to one of my sales people. His sales are going down because the customer was identifying them with the competition. Another thing that he had stopped doing as much of that I had noticed, and I think I mentioned this a few times. I hope you don't mind if I go into this because I
Oh
think
no,
this is so, I think
please,
it's so important. Well,
good.
here's what I do. After I do my meet and greet and talk to the customer while I'm here, that kind of stuff, I always take the customer to the furnace and I do what I call a pre-presentation. All right. So I'm doing my presentation. So, right, what you have here is a constant volume furnace. All right.
Hmm.
So what that means is we measure this house and we need a certain amount of BTUs. All right. Say we need 100,000 BTUs to pick a number. All right. When
Hmm.
we calculate that, we need that for a very small period of time. All
Hmm.
right. We can actually heat the house, sometimes with a third of the BTUs than what this one produces. But yours is a cacao without a throttle. It's either 0 to 100, 100 to 0. The fan's either full on and full off. So as you know, it dries the air out in the house. It's hot and cold in the house. It's loud. There's a lot of not good things about it. All right. So if you want to do some, go ahead. You going to say something?
I'm out there.
Yeah.
I want to say something.
Yeah.
What you're doing,
Yeah.
honestly, is stacking up a problem because later on you're going to present the adaptive technology to
Right.
overcome this. So if you try to, if you just, so here's what I think most salespeople do a mistake. They
Right.
forget to go into that pre-present. It's not I wouldn't call it the pre-present. I'd call it this is the problems or observations, I would call it. Like, here's some
Right.
observations I found. Here's the observations of your current system. And then you go in that, and with the observation is a problem, right?
Right.
And then that problem results in this for your family too, right? And then
Right.
so you got the stack of problems in your pre-presentation, which I
Right.
think is great. And then you're putting those right next to the solution. Like, here's the problems over here, a
Right.
stack, and here's a solution stack. So people always talk about the value stack. You've heard that little hot.
Yeah.
The value
Yeah.
stack is good, but the value stack isn't just the solution. It's the solution with putting it right next to the problem.
Right.
I think those two things are what creates value to me. What do you think of that idea? But
Yeah, I
that
think you're
I think what you're
exactly
saying is
right.
really good. I think the
Right. So,
pre-presentation.
and let me go a little further. There's a reason why I'm doing this, Joe. All
Mhm.
right. Then I talk about the next one. The next one happens a little better. It's a dual adaptive system. All right. So it has ability to adapt a little bit more than when you have now. And the top one is totally adaptive communicating. And then I'll explain how it works. So this one's going to match demand. It's going to have multi levels of adaptability to it.
Mhm.
And the reason I'm doing that, and I go into it a lot at that, is because what's happening is the customer is saying to me, well, no one else is talking about adaptive communicating. I think that's something I really want. Now, even if they don't say that out loud, I can see them. Oh, they really like when I'm talking about the adaptive communicating. And the reason I'm doing that is because if I get to the presentation and I'm explaining what the adaptive communicating does, they only have a certain amount of mental equity. All right. But if I give this pre-presentation, as I call it, I know you call
Hmm.
it something different. If I give the pre-presentation, they've already decided what they want. Now,
Hmm.
when I get to the presentation, now they just want to see how much it is.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know what?
Okay.
It's like it is good because it's like you're telling us a problem, you're putting it next to a solution, and it's like, yeah, that's what we need here. That's exactly what we need. And then
Right.
you give the options like, yeah, that top one has everything you need, like you want it. And then the one, oh yeah, we're not going to have the adaptive technology and the communicating in the middle. It'll be adaptive and not communicating in the middle.
Right.
Type of a thing,
Right. A
less
two-stage,
adaptive, less
two-stage,
adaptive.
250. So
Yes.
what I found is when I do it that way, Joe, the customer has more time to focus on a decision.
Hmm.
When I tried to explain what it does, how it benefits them, and the price, they didn't. I was starting to get too many. I have to think about it,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? So by doing the pre-presentation and having them already pick in their mind before they've seen it, which one they want, now they're just saying, all right, how much is that one? And what
Yeah.
happens is a lot of times I don't get to any other ones,
Yeah. Well, I
right?
think that's the idea is I present the top option first, and it's exactly what people, everything I talked about, the pre-presentation
Right.
problems, I also had the solutions. Here's the
Yep.
thing that we just talked about. There's the one thing, here's the stuff that's less than we talked about. I guess, no,
Right.
I don't want
Right.
to even, usually they go, I don't even look at that. No, we're
Yeah.
not. Isn't it interesting, Rick, the guy's like, I got 5 bids for 8,000 or whatever, or 2 bids
Yeah.
for 8,000, 1 bid for 12,000, and one for 14,000. You come in there and it's like 29,000
Yeah.
because you put and it's like, oh yeah, yeah, they didn't even tell me the stuff I did. See, they already got the thing that you discovered, your pre-presentation, and then you got the here it is, the whole thing. And they're like, yeah, that's exactly what we need, but shit. So they were gonna tell you I was gonna look around at it, but then it's so different than everything else that
Right.
there's no need to continue to shop. Like, yeah, this guy's got everything I need. What else am I going to find that's like that? Would you say that's a fair analysis of the
I
situation?
would definitely say as usual. You're spot on, Joe. Right? So
Mhm.
exactly what happens. So I think the point of what I'm saying all is just because people are shopping around and getting more prices doesn't mean there's still an opportunity for people who know how to create great value.
Hmm.
All right. There's
If we look at
instant.
so we look at some of the things we got, the verbal packaging the right way,
Right.
not too heavy on verbal package so it confuses people, not too
Right.
light. So you start to use the other trade terms and jargons. You start to blend your jargon into your verbal packaging. It's not verbal packaging anymore.
Right.
So
Right.
so that does take training on verbal packaging, right? You can't just like,
Yeah.
hey guys, you got it at their one time. That's got to be something you when you communicate internally. I feel like verbal packaging something starts internally with the way the team adopts it and the culture adopts that or not. Tell me about that a little bit at Rodenhiser. Have you guys fully adapted that as the way to communicate
Yeah,
internally?
we again, it goes down to our motive, right? Sometimes I get kind of careful about talking about verbal packaging because people think it's a gimmick or we're trying to trick people with the words we use, and that's not
Yeah.
really what it is. What it is, if you use proper verbal packaging, it's better service. All right, by telling the customer what it does, whether it's a service call or a replacement call, it gives the customer better information to make a better informed decision. All
Mm-hmm.
right. The fact that it creates greater sales is a result of the verbal packaging, not the reason for the verbal packaging. Right
Mm, right.
now, right now, it does help us to differentiate, but we should differentiate ourselves because we are different than other companies. We are providing a high level of value. We are explaining to the customer why this is a better benefit to them, why this system is, they don't make decisions very often. We want to make sure we give them all the information to pick the one
Mm-hmm.
that's right for them, right? And we don't want them to miss out comfort, efficiency, safety, dependability because we didn't use the right verbal packaging or we didn't explain it properly, right? So, we try to stay away from dirty words. I'll never forget the story that I learned for you. This really struck a chord with me about the hamburger. Remember you told me that about the Notre Dame and the hamburgers? That story really showed me that the words we use can make or break um,
Mm-hmm.
what was going on, right? You remember that story, Joe? You want to tell it? You got time to tell it?
Why don't you tell it, Rick? Tell me,
All right, all right,
tell me about
yeah.
it.
Yeah, but years ago, you showed me an article, and what they did was I'll give you the basic gist of the article.
Yeah, yeah,
They
give this,
gave,
please.
100 people, they were doing a market survey, and what they were doing is, and they're going to open up a hamburger joint. All right. So they said to the 100 people, we're going to open up this hamburger joint, and here's the meat we're going to serve, the burger we're going to serve, and we want you to taste it and tell us if it's going to be successful. All right. This
Hmm.
for burger is 20% fat. All right.
Hmm.
Now, the people ate the hamburger and everything, and they wrote about what they thought. And I believe it was like 80% of the people said it wasn't good.
It sucks.
Wasn't good. It sucks. Wasn't good. Right. Then they brought another 100 people in the room and they gave them the hamburger. And they said the same thing, want to open up a burger joint, want you to taste this. But this is 80% lean.
Oh, wow, that's the good stuff.
Right. Now, right. So when people, it was the same burger, but
Uh,
right, but 80% of people now said it was going to be good. All right.
isn't that crazy?
Now, this was done back when fat was bad. Now we know, hey, fat's good, right? But
Yeah,
back
yeah.
then, everything was low fat, right? Everything fat was there. But back then,
Fat
you
was
ate,
considered fat was considered a waste in a way. It's like
right.
I just got fat. That's worthless fat, although it is
Right,
good for it.
right, right. And none of that fat was like gonna, you're gonna die of a heart attack if you had a hamburger
Right,
instantly.
right,
Right,
yeah.
yeah, right.
We're
And
trying to lose
nowadays,
fat, not get more.
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
want.
Now fat was like sugar is now. You know what I mean?
I don't
So,
want to
as
buy. I
far as
don't want to
back
buy it.
then.
I got too much right here. Why are we going to buy more?
But the point was, they changed one word.
Hmm.
They went from fat to lean, and it made a totally different result.
That's good. Yeah, that's a really good one. That's a really good one. That's a good. It does tell a good story, and it does say the words shape the value. Either it detracts from value or adds value, and that verbal package is a really good one. I think, and just like you said, like the matching you're seeking to create value with a feature or a benefit of the thing you do. You know, relabeling it and reverbal packaging it, and then also like you said before too, like if you're saying to me, like I know you're famous for selling ductless mini split on a hydronic boiler call. Like
Yeah.
I try and tell people and they don't ever hardly anybody believes me. I'm like, no, they go out in a boiler call and it's ductless. And they go,
Yeah,
what are you talking about? It's not even the same thing. I'm like, dude, there's
yeah,
a reason why, because here's what Rick is good at doing. He's good at
yeah.
pointing out the problem with waiting for a hydronic system to heat your bedroom, as opposed to having instant heat in the bedroom. Right? It's
All right,
like, it's like he's pointing out the obvious thing with hydronics, like that's just how they are. Yeah, if
right.
when Paul Revere was around, it might have been like that, like that. But now today, there's
Well,
a better way.
in Massachusetts, we have a lot of steam systems, right? So I
Yeah.
have people that have a steam system and they have, they're using 2 bedrooms out of 5 and they're heating the
Mhm.
whole house. Well,
Yeah.
wouldn't it make sense to put a dual zone ductless in and heat the rooms you're in?
Isn't that
Or
crazy?
even have people that they're empty nesters. They use one room and they get a steam system. So I don't know if people know, but we have a lot of steam in New England. It heats the
Yeah,
whole
yeah,
house. There's no zoning there, man. Right.
yeah.
So whenever I go into a house with steam heat, it's an opportunity for me to help those people, get some better comfort and save some
Yeah.
energy.
But I think that's the key thing. All those things like the adaptive technology, the adaptive communicating, what is the current status now? That's the problem. Next to the adaptive, like single stage, full force furnace with no adaptability whatsoever.
Right.
To point out what that to isn't it interesting though, Rick, how people are living with that, and
Yeah.
until you point it out, they give that like, huh, I never thought of that actually.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's some amazing people don't know. You say that to them and they say, no one else explained that to me. That's when you're doing the good.
and you're sitting with the thing. They're like it's
Right.
been like that the whole time for like 5, 10 years, 20 years, or 50 years or
Yeah.
something like that, right? And they're like, you're
Right.
isn't it that's the weird part. I think a good salesperson to me who does create value as the costs go up is good at pointing out things that people experience on a routine basis and then changing the paradigm for the client so they're able to see something that was dysfunctional that they didn't realize was dysfunctional. What do
Right.
you think of that situation?
I think it's good, but I think that's why it marries up with your system because I build from the bottom up. I'm explaining the possibilities to them. This is what you have now. This is where we could go. And then when I make
Mm-hmm.
the presentation, I start from the top down, right? So,
Yep.
and by the discussion, by having the pre-presentation, I call it with them, I'm learning from them what my packages are going to be so I can be on code, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So the pre-presentation is not me only giving information, it's I'm getting information from them about, oh yeah, you know what, with this constant volume, it's amazing once I start explaining to people, they start using my words. Yeah, with this constant volume furnace, Gabby's room over in the corner never gets enough heat.
Hmm.
I'm like, well, it makes sense because when the heat comes on full blast and the thermostat's on the first floor over here, it's going to heat up quick. If I can get the system to run longer at lower speeds and have more on time, I could
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
provide better comfort to that room over there, right? There's two ways to provide comfort, time and volume. I can't do much with the ductwork because we can't get over to that area. But at least we can maybe make the system run a little longer at lower amounts and maybe provide better comfort somewhere in the house. So I'm going to make sure now that once I build up in my pre-presentation, I'm going to start from the top down when I make the presentation. And it's going to be on code because
Hmm.
that's creating value.
Yeah.
Now, isn't
Being on,
that different than going in a house, looking at it, not talking to the customer and saying, all right, here's my single stage, single speed furnace. It's this amount of money. Here's my two stage, two speed furnace, this amount of money. Here's my variable modulating furnace, it's this amount of money.
Mhm. Yeah.
Right?
Just
Where's the
throwing it at
value?
people. That's just throwing it at people and making them cook their own meal. In a way,
Right.
the way I look at it is like you're throwing all the ingredients on the table and say, make your own, choose your own thing and make your own meal.
Right.
To me, it's
Yeah.
like I always said, like even the Asian, the Chinese restaurants specifically had like gigantic menus, or
Mm.
we always like, oh my God, look at all that stuff. Like, guys, you have Kung Pao. Like whatever you like. Had you got
Yeah,
like
yeah,
shrimp
yeah.
or something like that? Like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
there it is.
Yeah.
Shrimp with chestnut, water chestnuts or whatever. So it's like we come through it, and what happens is that you throw the menu at people, and you try to get them to cook their own meal. Like, here's all the
Right.
stuff we have. Figure what you want. So the problem is that's not going to work. It's like I think what does
Well,
work,
and if it does work, it's going to have to work at a lower price because you don't deserve a higher price because you didn't provide any service. If they're
right?
doing it all themselves, where's the value?
So, Rick, would you say that although the costs have gone up, that the prices have gone up for the average sale has gone up too? What would you say about that?
Yes,
Is that
they have to, right? Yeah, because as our costs go up, our costs for insurance, equipment, raw materials, labor, everything's going up, the cost has to be more.
when I originally met you, I remember you told me, it's like, Joe, I'm already this is 2004, I think it was, and I
I think it
said
was a
that
little earlier than that. I think I might have been even 2002.
it
I
could be
think,
even that might have been
yeah,
2002. I think it was. They
I
brought
think
me
it
out.
was, yeah, because I'm
Yeah.
thinking I was 88 to 98. I was at that company you came to work for in 98,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
1998. Right. And
Okay.
I was like a
Yes, I
year or
think it was
two in there.
2000.
So I might have been
I think it was
2000
about
maybe around there.
2002, 2003, something like that. It might have
Yeah,
been.
something like that. Yeah.
But either way, we came out there. I remember you told me, it's like, Joe, uh, what am I supposed to do? The competition's at $1,800 for an 80% furnace, and
Yeah.
I'm at 2,500. I'm $700 more. And
Yeah.
now,
And and let me say what you said. And you said the problem, Rick, is you're too cheap. You should be 10,000 for a furnace.
hmm
And
hmm
I went, $10,000 for a furnace. Why would anybody spend $10,000 for a furnace when my competitor would do it for 1,800? I'm trying to get 2,500. Are you nuts?
uh-huh.
Remember?
Yeah, I remember that. And
Yeah, I remember that.
I said,
Yeah.
yeah, Rick. I said, yeah, but the thing is, if you did it's not, but it's not just, it wasn't just the furnace, was it, Rick? It
Yeah,
wasn't.
yeah, yeah.
It was more than that. It's like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, if you, I said the price should be for the whole top option, like 10,000, not 2,500. This is as well. Of course, now what's the top
Yeah.
option? What do you think a top option now is, Rick? Is it
If
2,500?
the,
What would it
you
be
know,
today right now?
if it's a furnace only, it's,
I'm saying everything. Let's say you go to a
it,
boiler, do the whole thing, the whole
yeah,
ductless and
it could be 50,000,
everything. Right.
right? Yeah.
So it's interesting, isn't it? So you gotta say, well, the costs have gone up. Well, the solutions have changed too. So we're not talking about the same old solution. Because back then we were just trying to figure out if I can make my 80% furnace less money than someone else's, or if we
Right.
can.
And I guess it's the same now. Nothing's really changed, right?
Mhm.
So back then, don't forget, we were going into 2006 or 2008. Remember how bad that was? And so
Totally.
just long story short, that when I went to that very next customer, I sold a furnace for $10,000.
Hmm.
Now, it was 10 years parts, 10 years service, right? 10 years labor. It
Hmm.
was, I included all the air quality, all the air filtration changing, and everything for 10 years, couldn't write a check. And that's what really helped me see the light.
Hmm.
That was the very next call I went after we spoke. I remember you helped me do a little PowerPoint presentation. I don't know if you remember that.
I
We did a
still
little
remember that.
yeah, we did a PowerPoint presentation, and I had the top furnace with the 10 years spots, 10 years labor, 10 years service. Then the next
Hmm.
furnace down with 10 years spots, 5 years labor, 5 years service. Then the same furnace, 10 year spots, 1 year's labor, 1 year service. Then I went to the lower end furnaces, and my bottom one was $1,200.
Wow. And nobody ever
Remember that?
bought
You said it was $1,200. And I said, 12, we can't do it for $1,200. He says, no one's ever gonna pick it. It doesn't matter. And
Put it there anyway. Just tell me we can't do it.
yeah,
That's the
yeah. Well,
that's what it
no,
should be for that kind of
I never
presentation.
had one pick anything. That's like reminiscing. It seems like such a long time ago that was, but
It is.
yeah,
What are you still using PowerPoint? What are you using now?
yeah. I still use PowerPoint.
There's nothing wrong with it. It's because I always say people ask me what should you use, and I said, well, I said Rick Picard uses PowerPoint. I said because you have complete control of your own presentation.
Right.
You're not giving it to a third party. You're designing the way it should look for your customer experience for your customer. I think it's important that salespeople do have a way to kind of design what they're trying to communicate. What do you think of that, Rick?
Yeah, I like it. And of course, I like the PowerPoint because I do it line by line. I don't
Hmm.
reveal the price until I've gotten all their attention on everything that's going through. You know what I mean? So I like that aspect of it. And I also like that I can modify it. I can put pictures and I can do
Well,
whatever I think is going to
let me
be
stop right there. So this is a little inventory here. Number one, verbally packaging it to differentiate so you're not saying the same thing your competition is saying. Number two, putting problems first and pre-presenting the problems before you start going into adaptive stuff. Or you want to tell me about the ductwork repair? Tell me the problem with the current ductwork we have, and then show me the solution. Or if your ductwork sucks and there's no insulation, it can't be right. We just go ductless. So you can't. There's no way you could heat a room in this attic or whatever that turned into a bedroom with a
Mm.
2x10 register up there. You're not gonna
Right,
so we need to get that. This room needs ductless, honestly. So,
right.
so you have to explain the problem with the airflow or the heat gain in that room. That it's going to be impossible. The rest of the house is all going to be on a system. It could work, but this
Yeah,
one it's not going to. They're going to. This one will be
right.
always too hot in the summertime. Nobody could ever sleep here with the current with the register and what we're doing here. I could put even a bigger duct than it wouldn't because the heat gain is happening so quick, it's never going to balance out. It's always going to be like that. So
Right.
the problem there with the solution, and the third thing I heard you say is so the thing problems and solutions together, the verbal packaging to differentiate, and there was this last one you just told me right now. That was oh yeah, to not reveal the price, to tell people those problems and tell them the solutions, but don't have the price there while you're doing it. Let's go back and say that again because I think I've
Right.
seen some people make a mistake like, yeah, they said no right away, Rick. And once I say that to him, I'm like, well, how did they even say how they say no? They didn't see the price, did they? Oh yeah, I had the
Right.
price sitting right there. So if they see the
Right.
price before they see the problem or solution, like if you said, here's the price, $50,000, you just
Right.
say, well, forget it, I'm out.
Yeah.
But
It doesn't mean anything if right. So that's I think goes hand in hand with my pre-presentation, right? So I'm doing is I'm talking about the problems, and now the customer says, "Oh, that makes total sense that ductless upgrade would work." All right.
Mhm.
Now they want it. Now they just want to see the price. Right.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
now when I go in the presentation, I bring up, all right, so this is my adaptive communication system got for main part of the house. Here is my mini split system is going to take care of the upstairs system. So now it's going to be its own zone. So that 2x10 duct's not going to take care of it. This is going to heat and cool that room. Heat cools the humidifier. What it's going to do. I go all the way through the presentation, but I still have
Mhm.
not reviewed the price. So I'm reviewing everything the the solutions I spoke to them about in the pre-presentation. Now I'm bringing them the solutions, but I'm doing it in
Mhm.
a way where we can go over and build value. So
Yeah.
every line I'm going over is building value. And that's what this is all about, right? So in order for us to be able to not only compete, but thrive in this marketplace, We have to build value. And so
Let,
then
let
we
me,
then go ahead.
let me throw a couple of verbal package challenges at you. Here we go.
Yep.
I'll say the jargon. You say your verbal package. How's that? Just
Okay.
we didn't even
We'll
practice.
try.
Just I'm gonna no, just gonna do it. There's no trying. There we go.
You'll just say no try, just do.
Just keep you on your toes here.
All
Uh,
right.
how about that? Yeah, we're gonna put the head on the wall. Give
Yeah.
verbal package it.
Right. Well, I could say the air delivery system or the air
You,
circulation
you were calling
system.
it the console. You were calling it the
Those
remember
are all
you
the
called
console. That's like our console. Yeah.
it, so they're gonna put
Yeah.
that console up there.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
the air delivery console.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
the jargon would be we're going to put a head in this room.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that kind
Yeah.
of a thing. Makes sense, sir. So those are
Yeah.
the kinds of things, though, right? Like instead of saying,
Sometimes I do it, don't even know I'm doing it.
yeah, it's like
Yeah,
instead
I
of
do it
saying,
so long.
how about this? Instead of saying multi head heat pump, it would be like a personal comfort system every room of the house or whatever. You
Yeah.
ever have
Yeah.
that? Like so, what do you like that kind of thing? I think those are the things where it's like as we get into it, like the adaptive modular adaptive variable output or whatever you want to say, it's much better than just saying modulating because that's what everybody else
Right. Or
is.
even, I think I told you I use this word a lot. What I like about mini split systems is everybody can have their own oasis. All right. So I use that a lot because
Blown
what
away.
happens is, well, when I talk to people, whoever's in control of the thermostat is usually the most powerful person in the house. And they don't care if somebody else is hot or cold, as long as they're comfortable. All right. So
It's
the
true, yeah.
right. So the real benefit about the mini split systems is everybody can have their own oasis. They can
Mm,
escape and go and be whatever temperature they want, and they're not hurting anybody else or angering anybody else or anything else. You know what I mean? So and sometimes where people, I'll show them a complete comfort system, individual comfort system of a home, and
hmm
then they'll say there's just too much money. I says, well, all right, let's do this. Let's create a couple of oases in the house. All right. Let's put one in the main area where you live. That'll be your daytime oasis. And then at night in the master bedroom where you stay, because you're empty nesters, we'll make that your nighttime oasis. All
mm,
right. Either way, it's for you to get away and be comfortable wherever you want to be. So
yes,
I
I
use
like.
that word a lot. People like that word when I use
Mhm.
it.
I
And
love it.
that's a real benefit of mini split system.
hmm Well, I think we've got three solid ways to help people build value. One, verbal package to get your own personal oasis so you can get away from the complexities of your day and relax and cool and warm comfort, personal comfort that you can dial in for you and your family, you and yourself. Get away from the other system and just get the one that you want for yourself, Carol. Hey, Carol, when's the last time somebody did something for you? I got one for you, Rick. I've been using this a lot and it's working. It's like, I did this one with the Oasis in that room where you can get away. Rick, I know you do a lot for your daughters and your wife and your everything, and even your dog. Rick, when's the last time somebody did something for you, though?
Hmm. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
You know what?
that's
I
why.
think I deserve to
That's
do something for
that.
myself.
That's why I did that Oasis for
Yeah.
you because
Yeah.
I want you do so much for your daughter and you do so much for your older daughters too. And
Yeah.
I just think that you should have your own Oasis in that room for you, Rick. That's why I did
Right.
that for
Right.
you. Like that Oasis and doing it for you. Like that's like, hey, even a service agreement. That's why I did the service agreement. When was the last time somebody did something for you? You service so much for your family. Let me do the service for you for the next 12 years on that. And you can
Yeah, I
take
like that. That's good. Yeah.
working great. That's what that one's working great right now. Some little updates for you there that you can
Yeah. Well,
add some.
yeah, I love these ideas. It's like sometimes I was telling you earlier, sometimes we get stale and we
Mhm.
even sometimes get into making bad. I don't care who you are. Sometimes what I was saying to you is what I kind of like about this period right now is that I've had to go back to dotting my I's and crossing my T's.
Yes.
Because even me was getting a little bit lazy.
Mhm.
Now I'm working harder than I ever worked, but I'm better than I've ever been
That's
because
good.
I have to be now. If I'm going to keep up what I've been doing for the last few years, I have to make sure that I'm not getting lazy or getting stale, right? So, and I
Mhm.
almost feel like it's like a reawakening for me in this. The harder it gets, I think the more energized they get because I think I like the challenge of it.
I think the
Does that make
same thing.
sense?
I think that's you have to. I think not only does the communicating adaptive furnace have to adapt and get communicate. I think we human beings have to have adaptive communicating skills and technology inside of
Right,
ourselves because
right.
the things I'm doing now are just slightly different and better, I would say. And
Mm,
yeah, I think I'm better at it than ever because I would say this. The funny thing is when you get good at it, you're just like you're letting it come to you. You don't have to chase it or it's easier, honestly, because you're
mm.
letting the system work for you as opposed to you pushing the system in a way. Does that make
Yeah,
sense, Rick?
yeah.
Uh,
It does. Yep, yep.
yeah. Well, Rick, it's been a great discussion, and man, I think I could talk to you for hours, as I always discover every time we get together. So usually we stay up really late at night and talk too long whenever we're together. So it's probably better when we're just on the call here
Yeah.
instead. But Rick, any final words you want to say before we wrap it up here?
No,
Thanks a
I
lot.
just want to encourage everybody to not to get discouraged, to to learn how to provide higher value. If think about how they can do that, and if they need help to get the training they need, because I think we need training more now than ever. You have to learn how to give the highest value to your customer you can, and it's going to be good for them because they're going to be doing business with the right person, and it's going to be good for you too. So.
Rick, offhand, you know any place where you can get trained in this industry?
I do actually. Where I got a lot of training for a lot of time. But you know what? Maybe they can do it like I did it. Befriend the trainer, service MVP trainer, right? And then he'll give you all this training for free.
Oh, you little you and you got me on that one. It's like you tricked me a long time ago. Well, you know what? So when you told me that you give me your friendship and I can never lose it as long as I live, no matter what I do, that's when I was sold. You
There you
made me
go.
sell myself, Rick.
There you
Thanks so much.
go. Looks like I did
That's
a
good.
good job.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Get close to us enough to where we give it to you for free. All you gotta do is pay a lot of money in the beginning and then just
Right,
rest
right.
it.
That's no, it's
Rick, thanks a lot
definitely
for
an
being here.
investment.
Thanks a lot for being here, everyone. I hope everybody got the value from the show. I will see everybody next week on next week's episode. Have a great one, everybody.
All right, see you. Bye-bye.